Hi, I'm Sandy Sims, introducing the Beats Me module for DJ Mixxx. If you like to DJ with Mixxx, but always wanted your modular or MIDI equipment to be in sync with the tracks playing, this is the module for you. I've developed the method over the last year and tested it thoroughly using it whenever I use Mixxx. And the sync is always right on. It's been used with MIDI in simple ways, like for the arpeggiator in a Chord Micro, and echo delays on other synths over MIDI, as well as a main clock for the modular racks. Some modules, like the Reflex, require a very stable clock, and the Beats Me fits even those tough requirements. The production module is slightly different than this one, but is basically the same thing inside. Here's a brief explanation of the proposed panel. This socket is to connect the computer to the module via USB. We may change over to USB-C, but B is shown here. It will come up as a MIDI peripheral in Mixxx. Using the Mixxx settings, you can link hardware to software and assign the custom Beats Me controller script to it. From Mixxx via USB, Flow connects to the free running clock to help keep it in sync, but also can double as a USB MIDI to TRS MIDI if not using Mixxx, i.e. minimal FL Studio control of a modular, or syncing to FL Studio, Ableton, and other programs, other DAW programs. These two jacks are TRS MIDI in and out. When used with Mixxx, a MIDI clock will be output, but this can also be merged with MIDI input, hence the input jack. There is a mode to add bidirectional MIDI that links to the USB, but when using with Mixxx, this should be left off. The set button is primarily used to align the first beat. This causes a pause in the clock for sequencers that will reset on a missing clock pulse. This has come in handy for complex sequencers like the Sequerlo. Setup can also be configured to output a reset signal from the VU jack. If held, this button will enter settings mode, where the defaults can be changed if needed. The phase knob is to fine-tune beat, if it's needed. If the beats of your tracks are already aligned well in Mixxx, this will be a set and forget knob. VU output will output a simple CV reflection of the VU level currently being shown in Mixxx, but in CV form. As mentioned before, this can also be used to output a reset signal instead. Above that are the clock signals. The fast clock output is useful for modules or hardware that needs 4 times or even 8 times faster clock than quarter note clock. The top jack is the main clock, and that can run at 1 clock per 24 ticks of MIDI, or 2. In modular, most people use 2, but with intelligent sequencers, 1 is often enough. The clock will continue forever after the source has been stopped, which is useful to keep an echo or sequence running after the track has ended. This is a rare situation in DJing though. When playing, each side has a priority over the other. That is, when one side stops, the other side is responsible for producing a clock. If changing tempos, it is important that the connected modules can also handle the change. In this case also, the Beats Me won't react until the previous track stops. This might work with odd timings or changeovers, but it's recommended to stop anything being clocked, as the transition won't be instant. It'll kind of slide into it. Programming any firmware update is also done with the panel USB, but a pair of jumpers must be switched. The module may also be available as a strict MIDI controller for those not into modular. This of course skips the CV jacks on the panel. Also, it needs to be plugged in or run on batteries. We're not sure yet. Well, there it is. We should start production in early 2025, and it'll be out there. Thanks for watching. Bütün kimliğimi at, gidin ve denizde yaşayın.